Welcome back to OTTB on Tap. I'm Neve, and today we have a very special guest host.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. Hey, Neve, what's on tap today?
Today we're sitting down with Courtenay Brown, who went from working a remote desk job to riding racehorses full time, all while producing her own upper level event horse. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. Today we're diving into what happens when you actually choose the barn over the safe plan. I discovered Courtenay on Instagram through her two accounts. We will put these in the show notes, which is at Ride Racehorses with Me and at 2_X Racers, and reached out to see if she'd share her story with us. Courtenay, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yay. So take us back a little bit. Can you just tell us about your background, your early life with horses, and early career path?
Yeah, sure. I was a horse crazy little girl. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Actually, the first time I fell off a horse, I was 6 months old,
Oh
and
my
my
God.
mom thought she killed me. And she said she picked me up, and I was like, I had blood on my head, and I was reaching out to get back on the horse. Yeah, that's me. But I was involved with racehorses from a pretty early age because one of my mom's friends who had a racehorse farm called my mom up when I was about 8, saying that somebody had dropped a pony off there, and if I wanted, I could come and ride it, but I had to do some chores. So I worked at the barn at a racehorse training facility when I was 8. I filled water
That's
buckets.
amazing.
Yeah, I filled water buckets so I could ride Strawberry. And I like bombed around the infield on her the first summer with no saddle because we didn't have a girth small enough, I think was the reason.
I
I'm not
love it.
sure. Yeah, and then I kept going back, and then I rode a Honey that didn't make it as a racehorse, and then I started walking leg up racehorses, and then by the time I was 14, I was galloping, which was really awesome. And I think like after that, I had some experience with off track racehorses through that job and retraining for show horse careers. This was the 90s, so everything had a show horse career after being a thoroughbred racehorse. But yeah, and then I went to university at the University of Virginia, and so that I could ride because there's good horse stuff down in Charlottesville. And then after I graduated college, I took a step away from riding, mostly because like my first job, I was working at a radio station for $20,000 a year. It's like, oh, uh, I guess I'm not going to do this for a while. And I remember thinking I can come back to the horses when I have a real job.
Sure.
And so 12 years later, I finally had a real job. I got back into riding about 10 years ago when I had that real job with an actual salary. And my mom was turning 70 that year and wanted to go on horseback safari in South Africa. And I had yeah. And
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
yeah. And so I had some good friends who were South African. So I like planned the trip and including the safari. And I thought, man, I can't just show up. I need to ride. And my intern at my job at the time, she had evented up to advanced and she was rehabbing her advanced horse from a suspensory injury. And she's, we'd already hit it off. She's, come ride Wally. And I went and rode her. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so fun. She's like, you should get into eventing. But in the meanwhile, I have a friend with a horse that needs exercising. So I started riding that horse and then
So
started,
it's a slippery slope.
yeah, total. Oh yeah. It was a steep slip and slide.
Wow.
So
Okay,
yeah.
so you didn't even have any experience eventing. You just had
No.
done the track stuff,
That's
took
amazing.
that
Yeah.
break, and then, okay,
And I
eventing.
showed hunters. I showed hunters
Okay,
because that's what you do in Charlottesville. I showed hunters in
I
college.
see.
okay.
And I think if I'd found eventing, there was eventing there, but not through the university. I feel like if I'd found eventing, I probably would have evented from then. But I'm glad I didn't because my path led me to where I am, so wouldn't change it.
Yeah, that's great. So, at what point did you feel like this isn't it anymore when you had that kind of desk job? And I know you said you had 12 years, right, where you were working and doing all of that, right? And then the horses came back into your life.
Yeah, I think with my job, I think probably a lot of people who have a desk job can relate to the middle management malaise. Like, fell out of love with my job when I got promoted into middle management, into the director level. Like, I loved my job up until then, and then I'm like, oh man, ugh. So that's all I'll say about that. But it was like another probably 4 years. And to be clear, I didn't choose to leave. I got fired in July of 2024. I got a really nice severance package. And I had seen the writing on the wall for a couple years before then. Change in leadership, 3 different bosses in the span of a year and a half. People didn't know what to do with me and my skills, that kind of thing. And I'd had a lot of promotions before that, so I knew I was expensive. And so I made the choice. I can see where this is heading. I'm going to ride it out. And so I did get a nice severance package. And that was in July of 24. And I thought, okay. And I worked in a climate advocacy nonprofit, so in this sort of progressive space. So my plan was to volunteer for the election. And then after Kamala Harris became president, I would find my next job. And
wouldn't that have just been the most ideal circumstance of all time?
Yeah. So anyway.
So when you got your severance and things didn't obviously pan out the way that I think a lot of us would have loved, what were some of the steps that you started making towards doing horses full time?
So I was like bewildered for a couple months, because now in retrospect, I could see it coming. But at the time I was like, why didn't anybody tell me? I sucked at my job. I had a very hard time with it. It really affected my confidence. I just had no idea what happened. Yeah. That was a theme in that year, just like I had very low confidence on my horse in a lot of ways. But in the span of about 48 hours, I both got a call from somebody who rode with a 5-star eventer who I had worked for the winter before in Florida. I was in Ocala. And so I worked for an upper level eventer riding on horses and doing weekend chores. So Shannon called me September of 24 and was like, I hear you don't have a job. Do you want to come up to Pennsylvania for 6 weeks and ride horses? And I'm like, yeah. I do.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
Around the same time, because I'd been lightly networking and working on figuring out my job search, somebody called me and was like, oh, do you want to do data analysis freelance for a campaign? And I'm like, I got something else I'm doing that I'm not going to get paid for, but I'm going to go do that.
But it's so much more fun.
Yeah, but in retrospect, that was a critical juncture in my career path. Made that choice. And I had been thinking like, I just need this as my sabbatical. And it was really just like, I always choose the horses. I did that during my job as well. I did that in a lot of ways. Yeah. And that was a great experience because I learned a ton. I still have scars on my butt from all the trotting I did.
Listen, I quit my full-time job when I was 36 to be a full-time working student.
Okay.
And I feel like you and I have been on kind of a similar path, except for you were a lot more successful than I was. But it's like, I was just like, oh yeah, I have this great job. I've worked here for 11 years. Why don't I just quit it and go work for free 6 days a week? And it's fine.
7 to 7, 7 days a week, whichever, or 6 days, whatever it is. Yeah. Yes.
With like an hour and a half commute, it's totally fine.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But wait, now I lost track of the question.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So you had scars on your butt from trotting, etc.
Yeah. And then, but the bigger picture question.
Yeah. So you're finding yourself, you're on the track right now at this point, and you're not getting paid yet, right? You're just working and helping, getting rides or whatever, right? At this point.
Yeah, at Bucks, I was basically a working student because I had my horse and I got housing and when I was up in Pennsylvania. And then I came back down. So that was just for 6 weeks. And then at the end of it, he's, you want to keep working for me down in Ocala? Great. I'm like, sure, I'm looking for a job. And then it just turned into working more and more. And like failing at my job search because there was like one where I'd gotten a phone screen. I was doing okay in my job search. I was getting phone screens and I was making it to the second and the third round kind of thing. And then I'd be exhausted for the skills test. And I just kept choosing the horses. So then I got to the end of March, which is pretty much the end of when you want to be in Florida. And I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm like blowing through my severance. And so I called.
It's super fun working for free, but
eventing is an awesome sport. You can't, it's not, I don't know how it's sustainable. I don't know either. There's just not that much money in it, and you just get worked to the bone as a result. But I learned so much. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if I hadn't had that experience.
Sure, yeah.
Wow. So that was just March of this year. So or last year.
March of this past year. Yeah. So then I'm from Maryland. So I called my mom and was like, can I come back? And my mom has a little farmette. So I brought my horse and I'm still in my this is my mom's basement. There's some way.
That's amazing. I love it.
And my horse is basically in the backyard. And then shortly after I got back up here, I was still looking for my job. I pretty much was like, I need to get a new job by July, like 1 year after I lose my job. So I was trying to be like hardcore about my job search. But then meanwhile, some friends who train racehorses off their farm were like, oh, we need help galloping at the racetrack. Do you think you could come help? And I paused about it. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. That seems like it might take a lot of time. And I remember growing up, because I think there was this period of time where I did really want to go like the racehorse route, and my mom shut it down.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, big time. And it was just kind of, it's unsavory. That's not a safe place. That's not a good place for you. You need to get an education. And so I think somehow I internalized that and was like, oh, I don't know about going to the racetrack. But I went, and the first time with galloping, I was like, this is beautiful. This is incredible. Yeah, yes, I'm coming. Anyway, that was last year in May, because I remember going up to Pimlico to get my license because
amazing. Yeah.
I had to go to the racing office. So it was during the Preakness meet that I went and got my license.
Wow.
Just
It's amazing. Yeah. So suddenly you're riding racehorses, right? So what was that first week like when you were doing that?
So I did get a slow lead in. I went up once a week with my friends that trailered in. I was going up there once a week and taking horses to the gate and breezing and stuff. And what I found myself doing is I kept looking on Facebook, because I'm Facebook friends with the person I got my own horse from 9 years ago. I'm Facebook friends with them. And a few years ago, I'd seen them post, we're looking for an exercise rider. And so I kept looking. I was looking at their page every day to see if they were hiring somebody. And I'm like, this is absurd. I have their phone number.
I could just call them.
Yeah. So I did.
But sometimes making a phone call is the hardest thing you can do.
Oh, yeah, no. And that's a theme still now, reaching out to people. I just want people to see me ride and be like, oh, come ride. But yeah, so I called them up and they're like, actually, yeah, if you could come on Tuesday. So that was in September. I went on Tuesday. So thankfully I had the summer of going up roughly once a week. And kind of, and getting a feel for just getting my confidence that I could do it is mostly what I needed to do. Yeah. And understanding a little bit about how things were and meeting some of the outriders and stuff. Yeah. And then
I also love that you're like, I was just going up once a week and going in and out of the gate and breezing. And aren't those two of the hardest things that you could be doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's just, I'm
like, I thought you were going to be like, they let me jog a couple, or they let me like canter a couple, like, or whatever. You're like, they were just like, just go up and do some gate stuff and just breeze a couple.
I think I bring a lot of experience being calm. Sure. And I think that's what that trainer had said. It was just like, oh, you're really calm. Yeah. If I'm freaking out, why isn't the horse going to freak out? Of course I'm calm. Like, otherwise, because they cue off us so much. So just that sort of experience of just, okay.
They just kind of put you in.
Yep, here we go. And
It's great.
Yeah.
That's really good.
But but the first week, like still the first week that I was on the track every day, that was still, that was the first time I jogged. And I'm like, wait, you jog here? Like, how am I supposed to jog? The first one I jogged, it went after, it was like on a Wednesday, because I'd started on Tuesday, and then the next day I galloped 2, and the trainer was like, oh yeah, come back tomorrow, I'll have more for you to ride. I'm like, awesome, great, this is awesome. And I come and I get on one, and he's like, jog her, and you're going to have to go the right way, aka counterclockwise, because the gate's up, and you can't, at Laurel, you can't go wrong way all the way around when the gate's up, because you can't cross the chute, it's a safety thing. So I had to go right way and jog, and she did not want to jog, and there's people coming by and she's hopping up and down, and I started clucking at her because I was like, keep moving. And then I saw the outrider that I knew, and I was like, Eddie, I'm scared. And he's okay, stop clucking. Oh, that's a good idea, thank you. Did not realize. Anyway, we made it around, and then 4 months later in that same barn I heard, oh yeah, she doesn't jog. I'm like, what was I doing on this filly that doesn't jog? Going
like,
right way.
Thanks for the heads
Day
up.
2. Yeah, no, totally. I've had a few thanks for the heads up moments. What the heck?
It's funny because I was just about to ask you if you had any funny stories from that time, but one of the things I love about following Ramon's videos is that he often will say, I'm on this really tough horse and I'm supposed to just be jogging it today, but this horse does not want to jog, and the horse is just bouncing up and down. And he's just so funny because he's like ASMR for... I'm like, could I just put him in my ear when I'm riding and my horse feels a little bit wild, when he's just easy mama.
I know.
It's okay.
I love him.
It's so great.
Yeah, I do a lot of singing.
Yeah.
And there's been times when I'm like, there was one time when I had to do a full on, when I had 5 to jog and the temperature had dropped, I think it dropped like 50 degrees overnight. It's dark.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, I wasn't even singing. I'm like, let's imagine we are on the beach. We are getting our nails done.
It's so
and
hot
there's
outside.
a margarita. And actually, because I'm like, I need this. Because I was like,
Because it's just making you breathe.
Yeah, no.
You can feel they're just like probably like little coiled springs.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun times.
Wow. So what surprised you most about working on the track? Was there anything that kind of stood out to you in that, not even in that first week, but...
I think going back to when I first got there and was like, this is awesome. I feel like I had internalized this sort of mythology of, oh, the track can be an unsavory place and people don't really treat the horses right and all this. And I have found the opposite. It's beautiful. Like the horses, especially the horses that get there and race, they're there because they have a work ethic. They're psyched. They want it. It takes them, they pick it up really fast because they're like, oh, cool. I get to do something fun. And so, yeah, at first I'd thought of it as, oh, this is just, I just need to make some extra money right now because I'm like running out of money and horse people are paying me. So I'll go to where horse people are paying me. Like that's all it was.
Sure.
And then I've just found so much more in terms of feeling like I can make a contribution to the places where I am and making relationships with the horses and that kind of thing. And the people are great. Yeah. One thing I guess I could mention that I remember noticing and really enjoying at the beginning is I was like, everyone on this track is in a good mood. Everyone was just like, hey, singing. And coming from an office environment or even from a really stretched, thin eventing environment, I wasn't used to that. And it was just like, wow, there's like a lot of positivity. And so that's what inspired me to get the camera, between it being beautiful. And I'm just like, there's so much positivity here. I'm like, I'm just going to get this camera, whatever else I can do with it.
I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think probably everyone really wants to be there, right? Working with horses is not the easiest. You have to love it. And that really came across, which is really cool to hear.
Oh, thanks.
It also reminds me of, I follow a couple of different girls throughout the world, primarily the UK. There's one in particular, her name is Lily Lifts, and she's like not a power lifter, but she does a lot of strength training videos, and she just sets up a camera every day that she's working out in the gym. And one of the things that I love is her interactions with people that are at the gym with her, like these gym bro dudes and these tough looking girls and this and that. And all of the experiences that she has where everyone, one, is so psyched to be there, and two, is so supportive. And I think it's really nice to know that, like, this, like, boys' world, male kind of, when it is male-dominated industry, is a more welcoming place than, like, we would maybe like to believe.
Yeah, it really, I think that's a great way to put it. I agree with that.
Was there anything specifically about your previous riding experience that kind of transferred over, or did you have to learn this whole new skill set and muscle memory?
Both. And I think I'm lucky that I had that experience in my teen years galloping, which, I mean, was basically, I remember sometimes hiking my stirrups up way too high and falling off. So I was like, this time around.
As Ramon always says, the longer you ride, the longer you ride.
Yeah. And so I took that approach at the beginning, and now I do put my stirrups up more because I've learned, I'm like, okay, everybody's body is a little bit different. The way one person gallops isn't necessarily going to be the way that I can gallop.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just because my geometry is different. And so, yeah, I think everything with horses, like, that's the thing we love about it, is you're constantly learning. Like, you can spend your whole life learning.
Yeah.
And so I do think I've applied a lot of my prior experience and lessons. One thing that works really well, especially when you're trying to get them to jog, that people don't understand as much or don't get trained as much on the track, is this concept of pressure and release. And the horse learns what you want them to do when you release the pressure. Most of the time at the racetrack, the times that the horse gets the pressure released is when it's going, when it's breezing. Because usually when you're galloping, it's like you're not breezing, and they're like, wait, can we go now? Can we go now? And you're like, no, keeping it easy today. Jogging, same thing. They're like, can we go? And so and I see a lot of riders, or I know riders who they're just putting the pressure on all the time, even when they're jogging. And so that's something that I'm lucky to have through other kinds of training.
Yeah, absolutely.
Understanding of when they're doing what you want them to do, just make it like sunny, happy days.
Take off the pressure.
Yep,
right?
yep.
Exactly. And the horses are remarkable about understanding that.
Oh, they're smart. They figure it. They're smart. Yeah.
And I think that, like, when we talk about this all the time with getting horses off the track, that's one of those things that you can just lean into, that they really fundamentally understand that, and you can count on that in a small way. So you've touched on this a little bit. One of the things that stands out with you in particular is your background in health and fitness. So obviously, I think for most people, they're not going to go from a desk job to galloping horses at the track. Right. But can you just fill in our listeners with your background and you were a professional cyclist, is that right?
I was. Yeah. I was a cyclist and then a triathlete. And it's so annoying. I feel like sometimes when I talk about my background, I feel like Elle Woods from Legally Blonde, because I've done all these different things, and it's just, I just woke up and thought I would go gallop racehorses today. I just woke up and thought, it's so annoying.
What? It's hard?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I feel bad. But yeah, no, when I moved to San Francisco shortly after I left the radio station job in Charlottesville, and I worked at a law office and coordinated with bike messengers, and I was like, maybe I'll try cycling. And then I was like, maybe I'll try bike racing.
Having lived in Philadelphia for a really long time, I was friends with a ton of bike messengers, and I rode a fixed gear bike when I lived in Philly, and then I got into cycling quite a bit. I had a road bike for a long time, but I did some 90-mile rides on my fixed gear around hilly Chester County like a psychopath. But no, when you hang around that group of people, and I did some alley cat races in Philadelphia.
Oh my God. I did an alley cat in San Francisco.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And it's so fun. It's so fun. You get sucked into the culture, much like horses, but
totally. Yeah. Or like bike polo. Yeah. The messenger culture is really fun.
Yeah.
I actually,
one of my best friend is one of the best bike polo guys in all of North America.
Fun.
That's so
I
fun.
have a bike polo scar. She can't really see anymore, but yeah, no, it's a fun. I raced in there. A long time ago, they had this race, the Liberty Classic. That was the women's version of I forget what it was called for the men, but we ride up the Manayunk Wall in Philadelphia.
That is brutal. That's a brutal.
It was a little, time. It was. I'm glad I did it. Yeah, and then I started racing triathlons, and I think the thing I remember about both of those is whenever I'd go past horses, I'm like, what am I doing on this bike? But I'm like, I'll be back eventually, you guys. But I always knew it would have a time limit to it, but it was a good way to learn to train and to learn about physiology and that kind of thing. So I learned so much from all of those stints. And then after that, I ran and was into climbing for a while. So yeah, I have a variety of sport backgrounds.
Yeah, it really sounds like you've done a lot. And I was reading this one article about you, and it did talk about the rock climbing, and you were saying that kind of body awareness was really important, and that really helped you maybe with your riding. Can you talk about how that kind of works together?
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, I do think that's true, because so much of riding, when we think about being in the saddle, every horse is different. We're communicating to the horse. We really have to be aware of, what do they think I'm telling them right now? And so to me, that's like the body awareness aspect that's really important. And I've found it, like, I think at the racetrack where it comes into play, I've been galloping there for 6 months. I haven't fallen off yet, and I know I'm going to fall off at some point. Everyone falls
jinx yourself.
No, I've said this a few times already. I'm just like, I haven't fallen off yet. Like, no, it's coming. Like, I know it's coming, but I stick pretty good. I've had a couple times where somebody has fallen off. I've gotten a phone call. Are you okay? I'm in my car making a TikTok. Like, that was not me. But yeah, I think rock climbing is there's different kinds of coordination sports and stuff, but it gives us, like, anything that sort of gives us the ability to react is also, I think, really important in riding, and especially on the racehorses, because there's just so much going on out on the racetrack. And the horses are really good, but yeah, there's just can be a lot happening. And sometimes you go out there and it's just, there feels like there's a chemical reaction happening right now. And that can happen at a horse show too. I've been in warm up. I've been in warm up
where it's,
you're like, I need to get out of here immediately. And yeah, you can see it coming. But yeah, I think I like having fun cross training kind of stuff to do. I don't climb as much as I did. I climbed a lot in Florida, actually, because I found a great gym in Gainesville, but right now I don't have access to one that's anywhere nearby.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's a ton up where I live, but I'm probably pretty far from where you live in Maryland. So I'm in PA, but leaning into the fitness aspect of this, I always talk about that nothing really gets you fit for riding like riding does. Do you feel like that's true, or do you feel like there's other things that you can do to really, obviously being fit in your normal life, in your regular life outside of riding is important, but to me, it never feels like no matter how much I can run every day or how much strength training I'm doing, really time in the saddle is the only thing that equalizes your fitness for being a rider.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. And I think, yeah, time in the saddle, but we can supplement that in ways that like we all definitely, not we all, but we should. And I remember when I was like really serious about eventing, hearing some different research about actually this isn't, you shouldn't be running if you're an upper level eventer. You should be doing your
Yeah.
strength training and your core
Yeah.
training. And I'm like, that's good because my body doesn't want to be doing endurance training or cardio
Yeah.
anymore
Yeah.
after all my years of cycling and running. It doesn't actually help me to be doing
Yeah.
those. For the racehorses, it's the same kind of thing because there's lots of upper body strength and sort of that, I think, like reaction time. But I do yoga pretty much every day.
So there's lots of stretching and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for the stretching and then the flow and the core. To me, the core
Yes.
is really important. But I have coworkers who are like, oh, I need to run. If I don't do my run, then I can feel it when I'm breathing that I've lost my wind. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it depends. I think I'm lucky because of my decades of being an athlete. I carry more fitness with me
Sure.
from that.
But I think to your point that people don't realize that your wind is affected by your core strength. If you're struggling to find your balance just as point zero, like that's like your 0 point of, oh, I'm struggling just to even just stay centered in the saddle, you're going to use your cardiovascular energy just to maintain trying to find that. So I feel like if that's strong and you can at least sit and feel balanced and comfortable, I feel like your cardiovascular health can be improved by just physically a little bit more fit and having more core strength.
Yeah. And the horses notice it too.
They do, yeah.
Even just the tiniest bit when I'm jumping my horse, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I think he got that back rail because I leaned forward just the teeniest bit.
Yeah.
Just like anything that's our change in balance, they feel it. And the same with the racehorses. If you're able to just really sit, then, that gives them, they have the room to just be like, all right,
Yeah.
here I go, as opposed to if you're just all over there. What's going on up there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So, even with that background in fitness, there had to be some differences that once you started galloping. Did you feel like your physical fitness had some gaps there that you were like, maybe I do need to work on my core a little more or my upper body strength because now I'm galloping and doing something different?
The only one or not only one, but I did start, I think probably the first 3 months, I wasn't doing anything else because I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting up so early. And then I still was having like other horses to ride because I had some freelance show horse rides in the afternoon and my own horse and stuff. And then by the time I get home, I'm like, I can't do anything else. And then once I embraced the early morning, training starts at 5:30, like I can and I had been like getting up at 4 basically. So for my horse showing days, I'm like, I cannot get up before 4. That's inhumane. Like, whatever. What difference does it make? So now I get up at 2:45 or 3, and then I have time to do my yoga. And it's just, that's why I'm like ready for bed right now at 6:30. And because I did feel a little bit like a lot of them in my quads, especially now I've started putting my stirrups up higher because I think it does really help with holding the tough ones. If I'm out there jogging and my stirrups are long, and then this happened to me the other day, the trainer was like, actually, if you want to gallop in the last little bit, I'm like, oh God, I hope we can pull them up. I'm like dressage stirrups right now. But yeah, so the quads and stuff. But I pretty much do everything at home, which means doing a yoga routine. If I can't find it in some form of a strength building yoga, it's too much I haven't been able to incorporate that into my schedule, but I do find stuff on YouTube that's got a lot of chair pose and stuff that's like really building. Because to me, that mimics the feeling of being in the saddle with my stirrups real short. Just, okay, I'm trying to do chair pose with my femurs as parallel to the ground as possible.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I want to switch gears a little bit because your story about finding your current upper level horse is, I think, we were saying off mic, something that when I was reading about you, I was like, oh, she's so our kind of girl. She's just so. Let's talk about how your horse, BA Messenger, aka Bam, correct, came into your life.
Yeah, I love talking about Bam. So 9 years ago I got him. He was a canter trainer listing from Laurel. And after I mentioned that I'd started riding again about 10 years ago, and then when I started just shopping because I had a desk job, so I was at a computer. I'm like, I'm just start looking into a horse, like if in case I can get a horse. So I found the canter website, and my now ex-husband.
It's just all a bad idea.
Oh, totally. And
That's how it starts.
Yeah, no, really. And I'd shop. I had all these horses that I'd saved and everything, and was looking at. And then when I saw his ad, I'm like, oh God, that's my horse. I get so emotional still.
Oh,
and
I love it so much.
So I was like, I just love him. And then I looked, and the year before, or maybe a few months before, I had been home for Thanksgiving or something and went fox hunting with the friends actually that I was going up to Laurel with last summer once a week. And I sat on this horse that was by Smart Strike. And he was there as a retraining, and I rode him fox hunting. Like, I like this horse. And so I've had that horse in mind, that stallion in mind, as something I'd be interested in. And then when Googling on like the Chronicle of the Horse forums, everybody likes AP Indy. And so I looked at Bam's pedigree. I'm like, his grandsires are Smart Strike and AP Indy. Check. And then I read the ad, and it's Call Hugh McMahon. And I'm like, I know Hugh. He used to be married to a friend of mine, and he came to our house at Christmas when they were both jockeys and drank red wine and ate a carrot for dinner. So I finally was able to get in touch with Hugh. And he's like, yeah, you can have him. He's a giveaway because he had bowed a tendon. Actually, that's perfect for my timeline because I'm not ready to actually have a horse right now. I need to get my things organized. So yeah, and I sent a friend to go and pick him up who was like, aren't there horses in Canada? Because at the time I was living in Canada with my now ex-husband. And I'm like, yeah, but not that horse. So can you please go pick him up for me? Yeah. And then I turned him out for 6 or 8 months. I think it was wound up being 8 months. And then shipped him up to Canada for me at the time was like, this is a lot of money. And my ex-husband was like, what if you ship him all the way up here and he doesn't like to jump? I'm like, trust me, I spent my entire childhood looking at horse books. This horse can jump. And yeah. And
you're like, I will eat my hat if he can't jump.
Yeah, but if he can't, we'll do dressage. It's fine. Yeah. I want this horse. And and I remember actually the first time because he got up there and I put him on a lunge line, and I'm like, oh shoot, he's still lame from this tendon. So I real quick Googled what to do for a bowed tendon, and all the stuff I saw was like, hard surfaces, no circles. I'm like, sweet, good thing I have him on a property that has 800 acres. So I guess we'll just trail ride until the snow comes because we lived in Calgary. And I remember the first day that there was a little log, and he cantered over it. And I called my mom. I'm like, Ma, like this horse can jump. I'm telling you. God. Yeah, that's Bam.
That's so cool.
Wow. I really love that story.
You can relate to that, right?
I can. You were going to make me tear up because my one horse, that's how I feel about him. I just saw him online and I just felt the same. I had to have this horse. Yeah. And I had adopted a different horse from New Vocations, and this horse his name's Best Idea. He wasn't available at the time, and I remember I was just crying when he finally became available. I can't adopt another horse, but I just love him. My husband went and adopted him for me, called, made all the arrangements. Your husband is literally the most amazing person on earth.
That's wonderful.
And he's just so special. So it's just cool to hear your story. And
then also because of the whole sire thing, you ended up adopting another horse by the same sire because you were like,
yeah. Yep. Yes. So that kind of worked out. But yeah, they both have AP Indy and Smart Strike. So the same kind of lines there by honor code. So they're great horses.
Yeah.
Great horses. Yeah. I love that.
So tell us a little, you said you jumped him over a log and he was incredible. What was he like those early days when you first started riding him?
He was great when there were two things. It was great that I wound up trail riding him for like I said, till the snow came and the time changed and it was like, we can't go outside anymore. So it was awesome because I was by myself and I was like, here we go. We saw a bear on our second ride. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I was on this coming 5-year-old thoroughbred. Actually, I think he was 5 coming. Yeah, he was 5 at that point. He was already 5. But still, I look back on it, I'm like, man, we just went out and did it. And it was really good for our partnership. But then when the snow came and we started riding in the indoor it was a really big barn. So there would be up-down lessons. I very quickly was like, I'm going to have to come at 9 p.m. because this horse is jumping into the rafters into the up-down people. We hadn't spent that much time in an indoor and there's snow and ice and stuff like that. And then the first time I had a jumping lesson, It was Crossrails. I still have a video of it. I should reshare it.
Oh my God, please
Yeah,
share it with us.
because
We would love
because
that.
I remember telling the guy giving me the lesson, I was like, no, Brian, I promise you this horse can jump. He just doesn't understand the pulse. Because it was like he nailed it like every leg. All four
Yeah.
legs nailed the
Oh
jump,
yeah.
you know?
It doesn't
And
mean anything.
yeah, I'm
It's
like, oh no. But I was like, no, I promise you, it's just this show jump is like confusing. Like he can jump natural jumps. But yeah, he's very game. I think most thoroughbreds, most racehorses, they're just really game. They're like, okay, like this, as long as you make it fun, you figure out what's fun for them, what they like to do.
Yeah.
They're like, okay,
Exactly. Find out what
yeah,
they're good
all
at
right,
and
yeah.
just
yeah,
lean into that.
yeah,
I was staying at Emily's last weekend and we were watching old VHS tapes. So she had a horse that she bought when she was 16 and she ended up taking him to advanced during the long format days. And she showed me her trial video of Alex, her big time horse. And it was freezing and she rode him for like 2.5 hours and all she did was trot him. And I was
oh my
like,
gosh,
and he was rank,
how'd she pick
basically
him?
unrideable. And I was like, how did you know he was this special? Like how,
Yeah,
what she, in 1994, I think she paid $6,000 for him.
Whoa.
wow,
Yeah. And I was like, how did you, and it's just wild. It's like when you have
yeah,
that gut feeling that this horse has what it takes, I think you can't ignore that.
yeah. You just go for
Yeah.
it.
You
Yeah,
just go, it's in there. I got to
yeah,
just figure out how to make it work.
yeah. Because they know if you believe in them,
Yeah.
they'll do anything for you if you believe in them.
And you've now, competed him up through 3-star?
Yeah, yeah,
That's so cool.
Wow. That's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
So he obviously figured out the jumping. It's like he
Yeah.
get clicked for him finally.
Oh,
Usually does.
yeah, by the end of that lesson, he'd figured it
Yeah.
out. But it's just
Yeah.
at the beginning, I'm like, oh, geez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think for most people, when they see the prowess they have for cross country, I think that's the thing that makes all of our eventers just hearts pitter patter, where they're like,
Yeah,
oh no, he sees the flags and he's let's go.
yeah, yeah. No, Bam loves cross country. He lives for it for sure.
That's awesome. It's a great story.
Yeah. And then what's your plan for him this year?
To enjoy my lovely horse and go take lessons, I
Yes.
think.
You're
Yeah,
superstitious, aren't you?
I realistically making this shift to working at the racetrack, I don't make very much money.
That's fair.
And I had to really think about, because I made a decision, like I mentioned, for a while I just thought this would be my spare job while I was looking for my next job. And then I had probably in November of this past year, I had a couple of moments where I'm like, this job search is stupid, because I had an interview for something that was way less than what I'd made before and way fewer
Yeah.
responsibilities. And the person that would be my manager was like, I was in college when she was born, and she just looked at me and was like, I don't think this is a fit. I'm like, yeah, I guess not. You know
Yeah.
what? And then probably a couple days later, the trainer I was riding for was like, do you want to go full time while, these other riders are gone? I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm
Yeah.
just doing this. This is what's happening now.
That's amazing.
But the downside is I don't really make that much money.
Sure.
I know I don't make enough money to compete in FEI horse
Yeah.
and to care for an FEI horse. And if
Yeah.
I'm not, and I don't really feel like I'm making enough I don't want to do it just like here and there at the national level,
Yeah.
I feel like if things were different, we could be going advanced, but things aren't different. And I would rather make sure my horse is healthy and happy than be worried about what other people think of his ability by virtue of
Sure.
a competition record.
I
So,
love that.
yeah, thanks. So I still train him like an event horse,
Love it.
just probably at 60% of the amount and intensity. Because he enjoys it. He looks great. I just go and jump it. I can go and take lessons or go to a nearby ring on a
Right.
Tuesday afternoon after galloping. And it's not like, because to compete, then I would be I'd be spending a bunch of money, and it's super stressful by yourself doing a one day,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. Anyway, long-winded answer. My plan is to just enjoy my horse, which honestly was my goal when I first got him. Because like I said, I'd never evented. I was just like, I just want to produce
That's
a nice
amazing.
horse myself. I just want to make a nice horse. He's my first horse.
I do think there's like a
great.
shift with a lot of people these days. I think about people like Matt and Cecily Brown that are just really kind of changing the conversation a little bit about what it means to own these animals and compete these animals. And I think there's becoming a shift to what would happen if I just enjoyed them? What would happen if I just said, I'd love to clinic with, for me, when I got my horse that I have now, I was like, I want to clinic with Lucinda Green. That's a bucket item for me. And I
Yeah.
was like, how do I make that happen? I have the horse to do it. But for me, that was like, I'm a photographer. I don't make a lot of money. But I was like, I want to spend my money on this. I don't want to spend my money on a bunch of competitions that I don't care about. I don't love competing. And I was like, but I do want to do this. I do want to be seen by somebody who I've idolized my whole life and get some real feedback and push myself or whatever that might be. It could be riding, taking a lesson with somebody, or going to a venue that you've always wanted to go to, or whatever. I took my horse to the beach last year. That was awesome. And I think there's a little bit of a switch with a lot of people now that they're going, I don't really care about doing that. I love this animal and I want to have fun.
I didn't know that about Matt and Cecily because I turned off, like, I got a little stressed. I'm like, I haven't looked at event entries once this year. I've just not been paying attention to eventing.
Yeah. I mean, they've been posting some really great stuff lately. They just started a Substack, which is awesome, and they're just really shifting the narrative to what if we just listen to the horse first? And as touchy-feely as that might sound, I don't care because they're not robots. They're not. Like the fact that they do anything for us is remarkable.
Right.
I know, right?
Yeah.
When they want to do it and when they're excited about doing it, isn't that the most beautiful thing?
Totally.
Like that they want to like break from the gate, or they want to start cross country, or they want to go for it. Stephanie started doing some endurance rides with one of her horses, and it's like, to be out on a 4-mile solo trail ride, like that is asking so much of horses to do, right? To be like, we're going to go do this together alone, and I'm going to make you break all your instincts to do this with me.
Yeah.
It's pretty magical.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think it's good to take a year. That's where I'm at now, is just taking a year just to reset and like back off a little bit. And it sounds like where you're at too. I went into this year thinking I'm not going to strive so hard. We're just going to let things be a little bit more. Now, of course, I'm still doing things like getting into the endurance world and just trying some new things with my horse, but it doesn't feel the same as maybe eventing or being in the hunter jumper world and trying
getting ready for the retired racehorse.
Doing that for the last 2 years, prepping a horse for the makeover. So it's just been fun. Yeah, I'm just hacking down the road for miles, waving at my neighbors and having a great time. So it's been fun.
Yeah, definitely.
If you were restarting one from scratch now, what would you do differently at this point, knowing what you know now?
Honestly, I've thought about this a lot because I want to get some resale projects, and I'm in line or whatever for a few. I have a few.
I was going to say, you've got all this fodder in front of you. That's going to be really tempting.
I do. I've been offered a bunch, but I'm real specific about my criteria because I have a very small amount of space, and because to me, it's really important to give them time off. So I would do pretty much the same thing I did with BAM. I just know I would do it better because I'm a way better rider than I was back then. So I would be much less confusing because I remember there were times where I was like, I can't figure out what the heck is going on. And I feel like I wouldn't have that same delay of figuring out what the hell I'm yelling at my horse about. Not like actually yelling. Sometimes when you're just like, they're like, you're yelling at me. You're using every aid at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to me, and the thing I think that I see get rushed just like on Facebook, or for people that I know, people who've gotten off track thoroughbreds and they have a horse, their program is a full training program. So this horse raced like a month ago and they're doing lessons already. And like, dude, just let it, I don't care how many races it did, how old whatever, like the track is a totally different environment. Turn it out. Turn it out for like at least 2 months.
And like some horses like actually can't handle that, but it doesn't mean that you need to be sitting on their back. I always think about them as like border collies, where like their enrichment comes from many things. Enrichment comes from spending time with their friends or being handled every day. They are used to this daily interaction. And so I think that we can either do too much with them too fast, or we can abandon them. And there's an in-between there for sure. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think they need that time to readjust.
Ideally,
Mentally,
the turning
physically.
out is with other horses, I should have said.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
to
Yeah, yeah.
just put them out in the field. But yeah, I totally agree. And that the pressure, and I think what one thing that can wind up happening too is we have ideas, and we touched on this earlier about there's this, you got to figure out what they like doing, what's
Hmm.
fun for them. And sometimes that's different than what we had in mind when we got them. And not necessarily, but sometimes that is. So it's just like approaching restarting them with, and I've thought about this a lot, like thinking about, okay, what's my philosophy and how I am with horses. And it's pretty much like approaching it with empathy of, okay, what their situation was that they had come from, or they're not the same as the last horse I had or the last horse I rode or
Yeah.
whatever. And with curiosity, okay, like, why is this happening? Because I see a lot of times, that's a theme I've noticed in talking to some people, where I'm just like, they're like, he just needs to such and such. And you're like, okay, like, we have some
Yeah.
curiosity here about, like, why did this
Yeah.
happen? Like,
What
why,
if he doesn't?
dig
What if
into
he
it.
doesn't?
Yeah. Yeah. So just having that curiosity is really
Yeah.
important to me. And also just being really systematic. Because any athlete, whether, and I brought this from any athlete will thrive and improve within a system. And the horses, they can predict, if they know, like, whether it's coming to a jump and it's, I'm not going to grab you in the mouth. My hands are down. It is your job to
Hmm.
decide when you're jumping. And then they start to be like, that's predictable. That's the system. And they're like, okay, cool. I can thrive in that. I know that, like, now I can jump.
They can trust it. They can trust that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. And the same, what I was saying earlier about the jogging, putting pressure on them when they're not doing what you want them. And then as soon as they do what you want them to, it's like the pressure's off. They learn that system quite quickly. Those sort of three: empathetic, curious, and systematic.
I love what you said about curiosity, though. I don't think I've ever had anyone really say that, and I think that's super important. Like you said, a lot of people just are mad. Oh, I don't know why they're doing that. Instead of getting curious, thinking through, maybe troubleshooting, and wanting to work with the horse to figure out what's going on. And
Yeah.
that's really great.
Most of them aren't mean. They're not, like, I've been on ones that are just like, they're acting all crazy. It's like, this horse isn't malicious. Like, sometimes if it's a baby, it just doesn't know any better. There's usually all kinds of reasons why something happened. It's not like he is an asshole.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And I gotta tell you, I've been around off the track thoroughbreds basically full time for the last 15 years, and I thought I knew and understood them really well. And then I got my retired racehorse project last year, or I'm sorry, I got him at the end of 2024. And Stephanie can attest to this. He rewired my brain about everything I thought I knew about horses, not just off the track thoroughbreds. He made me just relearn I feel such a better horse person because of this quirky, weird animal. He didn't like other horses. That was just one of the things that was quirky about him. There were just so many funny things, and he was my greatest challenge and my greatest success because he made me go, it's not about riding. I'm never going to be able to ride him if I can't understand him and communicate with him. And that fundamentally changed me as a horse person.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, you really had to put in the work with him to even be able to ride him on the ground, just figuring him out.
And that's the best part. For me, that's why I love green horses. Like that, getting those light bulb moments, understanding them and going, oh my God, I don't know anything. Let me understand how to communicate with this animal. It's so cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
Now there's another awkward pause.
I know.
We're in like the segment 8 section.
Yeah. All right.
Excuse me if I'm wrong, Courtney. Are you 47?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm 47.
We don't need to talk about that.
No, it's okay. I'm 47 as well, and when I remember like realizing like at some point when I was researching about you, I was like, oh my God, she's my age. I'm so excited. But one of the things that we talk about a lot, and I discuss this with Emily all the time because she was competing at the upper levels when she was 19 and 20 and
oh wow, good for her.
during the long format days, and she was a total badass. But something that I'm dealing a lot with right now are all of the hormonal changes in my body and the stuff that I'm going through. What do you have to say about like how you manage that as a rider? And I don't know if you're experiencing any of this yourself, but I feel like it's so prevalent in my life right now, from how my britches feel to how I feel in the saddle, et cetera, et cetera.
So I'll be honest, I've been to the doctor once in the last 6 years. But now I'm like, oh, I think I'm making money. I had Medicaid last year because I did not make any money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm making money now, so I'm probably not going to have Medicaid. I should go to the doctor. So I am going to the doctor next week. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm perimenopausal,
Yeah.
but I don't
Oh
know.
man, I'm in the throes of it and it's just brutal. I'm like, everything about my body is just betraying me and I'm so upset about it, and it makes me so mad, and I'm like, man, I'm like, how do we keep doing, like, how do we just keep on taking care of ourselves as riders as we're getting older in life?
I I don't 100% know. But B, I mean,
I was
I
really
try
hoping
to
you had
think of
all the
it.
answers for me,
No,
Courtney.
I have few answers. I think this is an area where I am annoying because I think I'm perimenopausal, but I don't have anything. I've had a hot flat. Like I don't know if I'm experiencing anything. And if I am, I'm just like, whatever, figure it out. Like, pedal to the metal. We're
Yeah.
doing this. Just
Yeah.
keep going. I do think I'm grateful that with this sport versus some of my prior sports, like, I think our age can be an advantage. Like, which I have friends, like I have triathlete friends who are like, they're ancient at age 38.
Sure, yeah. No, we've got.
And
I ride with Sally Cousins a lot, and I'm like
oh,
such
cool.
a badass.
She's
And
a
she's
total
like,
badass.
and was she like in her early 60s, I
60s.
think?
Yeah.
And she's just like bombing around advanced, and she's works so hard, and she teaches a billion lessons, and also she had a desk job
Yeah.
for years before she became a professional. She worked for Merrill Lynch. She's so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to be her when I grow up.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. I wish I had answers, but I don't. I have some old injuries. Theoretically, I have asthma. I don't know.
I have asthma. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's one of the things that like one of the things I talk about a lot besides all of my perimenopausal bullshit is I talk a lot about my mental health and how that's affected me as a rider and things like that. I joke around a lot about how getting on beta blockers really changed my life. And I think for a lot of people, it's like you get to a point in your life where like you've got to really take a critical assessment of your emotional and physical well-being and understand how you can take steps to make riding better for yourself and better for your horse.
Yeah.
You should go to the doctor. You should take care of yourself because we just have this one body and this one brain.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, it's funny as you were saying that, I was like, I came to the same conclusion in my head. It's just taking a problem-solving approach to it and a constant assessment. I'm lucky. I feel really lucky at this point. I'm doing a really physical sport, and I'm improving at it. Even at people are like, I know I'm riding well, and I know I'm learning, and I'm continuing to improve at it. And I feel like there was a part of me when I first started this 6 months ago. I'm like, oh, am I too old? Am I going to be able to do this? And I've had a couple people joke, oh, you should ride in some races. And at first I'm like, oh, I'm too old for that. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to the guy who does the amateur races. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know, maybe but yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like inherently annoying, like, by saying that. I just feel like this is an
think
area
you
where I feel like
also
I've lived
have-
this little charmed life.
You also have this like background of physical fitness that probably really leads to you not being injury prone and things like that as well. Do you know
Yeah.
K Marie Kreidel?
I love K Marie. Yes. I
Okay,
do
so
know K Marie.
so that was supposed to be our first interview with us. Stephanie was going to do our first interview with her, and when I started reading about you, I was like, "Oh my God, she's the same way." But she's a grandmother, and she's this badass outrider, and she's evented, and I was
She's
like,
in some of my videos.
she's so cool.
Oh, really?
I just love
Yeah.
her so much, and I'm like, so we're dying to have her on. So she's on deck to be.
Oh, good. Yeah, K Marie is awesome. She's who.
badass.
So when you just said you want to be Sally Cousins when you grow up, I'm like, I want
You
to
wanna
be
be
K
her.
Marie. But
Right.
yeah, no,
No, I
I've
was
said that
on-
in multiple. Yeah. And then
I
one of
was
my
wondering,
friends
I'm
was
like,
like, oh, you guys are the same age. Whatever. I still want to be her.
Wait, we're the same age as she is?
No, she's a little. I think she's
I was
51
gonna say she's
or
a little bit
52.
older, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but like,
Okay.
we're
I was
basically.
like, wait. I guess technically I could be a grandmother, but oh my gosh.
Okay. So For someone who's at a safe job thinking about making a change, what would you tell them? How did you know it was time to take the leap? What advice would you give?
With the caveat that everybody's situation is unique and so on, I'd say like a combination of trusting your instincts and also being systematic. I'll give you an example. I had somebody like on one of my recent videos that I posted who reached out to me. It was just like, oh, somebody told me that I'd be much better off just having a desk job to pay for my horse hobby than just pursuing my passion. It's okay, yeah, to a degree that can be true. Like for me, in my case, thankfully, my 11 years at that salary, or at my salaried desk job, I got my truck and trailer, very used, but still, like they were. And my tack, don't complain about my tack on my horse. And in 5 years competing at the upper levels, which was incredible. And I have those things. I'm not trying to get those on a more limited salary. But then I think trusting your instincts is really important. And when I think back on the 4 years where I was like, I am so miserable in my job in a way. And those were also the same years when I was competing my horse, which went pretty well. We went 3-star, but like then I had very little confidence, wasn't able to get enough time in the saddle. It's my only horse. I was down in Florida instead of coming up north, because if I came up north in the summertime where it's much less eventing year round in Florida, it's too soft. But I couldn't come up here because if I was within 50 miles of DC, I'd have to go into the office. I was like, oh, I guess I'll just stay in Florida. There's these trade-offs that kind of come into play that eventually it's, okay, what am I even doing here? If I'm like spending all my money and going and crying after every horse show, not that I cried after that feeling. So I think it's really think about all that stuff. And then the other thing that I actually would like to say about it is this kind of lifestyle isn't for somebody who's really worried about the future or who's really chasing the past. I think it's really for somebody who's really living in the present. And that's something that horses give us, is this, because they're pretty much in the present all the time. They have very good memories, but they're really just what's happening right now. And so if you're not somebody who's really able to live in the moment or can embrace living in the moment and be okay with uncertainty about the future, then it's probably not the good lifestyle for you.
Yeah, I always feel like, as someone who lives an abstract lifestyle, I'm like, oh, I have 3 or 5 jobs and I'm doing all of these different things, but it makes me feel really happy. And I remember one time, one of my boyfriend's children, he said to me, like, why would you choose to be poor? I'm a photographer, like all these like different things. And I was like, I love everything that I do every day. And I'm like, and if I don't make a lot of money, I don't care. And I love what I do day in and day out. And that's something most people can't say.
Yeah.
And so for me, I like my wild, weird lifestyle. It works for me. It doesn't work for everybody else. And you have to be okay with that chaos a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we have some rapid fire questions for you.
Yes.
Okay. Chestnut mare or bay gelding?
Bam's a bay gelding.
I know. I was like, this is unfair.
I'll go with bay gelding, but I have some chestnut mares I ride that I really like.
I bet. Yeah.
Favorite part of working on the track?
Oh, a lot of things. Oh man, can I come back to that one?
Sure.
Okay, sorry. I know that's the opposite of quick fire, but
the least glamorous part of working on the track.
This is probably, this might seem obvious. There's a lot of sand. Like I know, because all the barns, there's sand. I've got so much sand in my car, in my boots and stuff. And because when you're in a show barn, most of the time it's like concrete. Yeah. It's just because in the barns, sometimes you're shed row in the barn, ride in the barn. There's a lot of sand.
That's really funny.
That's hilarious. Yes. Describe Bam in 3 words.
Perfect. I shouldn't say that. I was hesitating to say perfect because no one's perfect.
You can say that.
He's perfect. He's sassy. He's really smart. Yeah, he's a smart horse. I love him.
Okay, one thing people get completely wrong about thoroughbreds.
Oh man, a lot of things. There's a lot of things. I think that to me, they're a really good amateur horse. Because they're so game. They're just like, and people think, oh, they're wild or they pull or they might be crazy. But like thoroughbreds are usually just okay.
Yeah, they have the best work ethic.
Yeah, they show up and they're really reliable in that way.
I really like that too as well, because I feel like when I'm riding, I if I don't always know the answers, I'm not always the best rider, but their game and they help me figure it out. Like I
Yeah.
don't get the best distance to a jump and do this, that, and the other thing, but they're like, I got this, and
Yeah.
they're smart. They
Yeah.
figure it
Hang
out,
on, Mom.
and they help me out because I'm just an adult Amy trying my best. So
Not to mention, like, you trust one of your thoroughbreds with your 13-year-old son who's a good rider. You're like, let's go and do all these fun things.
yeah, and I've put my younger kids on them as well. See, I could put my 7-year-old on and be like, here, go ride around.
I
You'd
love
be
it.
fine. You'd be completely fine. And Bestie's the same age. She's 7 too. 7-year-olds
Just having the best
having
time.
a time. Yeah. So who is more difficult, you or Bam?
So, well, okay, so not that long ago, my mom has 3 children, and I was like, Ma, who's your most difficult child? 2 seconds, you.
Oh,
She didn't even think about it.
Where are you in the birth order?
I'm first.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 younger siblings.
That's
Yeah,
it.
no, I'm difficult. I'm definitely more difficult than my horse. Everybody, put it this way too, everybody I've ridden with, like lessons, whatever, everybody wants to buy my horse. Every once in a while, they'll be like, you ride him really well. But most of the time, they're like, I really want this horse.
Let me take him off your hands for you.
Yeah.
Okay, hype song before cross country.
That's a good question. I remember for probably Eminem, not from 8 Mile, not Lose Yourself. Everybody likes it. But I know all of the words to Without Me.
Okay.
Like I can rap that entire song. So yeah, I would
love
say
it.
it's that.
That's amazing.
awesome. Favorite thoroughbred sire for sport?
I do think that Smart Strike does a lot for the fluidity of their movement. I've never met a Smart Strike, like something with Smart Strike up close that I don't like. Regionally, in the Mid-Atlantic area, which is where I am, I've ridden a lot of Uncle Linos that have like really nice movement.
Yeah.
They always are good movers. The ones some of them have been a little spooky, but whatever. Any horse can be a little spooky, especially at the track when they're a baby. And then, yeah, I guess those would probably be the main ones.
Okay,
Okay.
going back to the question about the favorite part
Yes.
of working on the track.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I
we're not
mean-
getting off the hook on that one.
Like all of it. It's awesome. It
All
doesn't
of
feel
it.
like work.
I love
Like
it.
That's-
the fact that I'm like, oh, it's 2:30. I'm gonna wake up. Like
Yeah, I know.
I've never.
That's saying something.
Yeah, no, I love it, and the community's awesome. I have videos. You're galloping along and somebody's singing, and they're just like, "Oh, there's a young lady with the good hands." Or just everyone's just very communal. I like. It's great. I really like it there.
I do have another question for you that I just
Yeah.
thought of, but if there was something that because I don't know how much you actually get to talk to the gate crew and the outrider,
Mm-hmm.
but if there was a message that you could give either of them, what would you say to them if you could just sit them down and be like, hey?
That's a good. I do talk to the outriders less now. Like I went through, there was a little like for a while there, I got run off with a few times, which I would say is not my fault entirely.
You were like, I wasn't told.
Yeah, no, in the gate crew, they're all. I don't know. I'm trying to
I
think.
just feel like their jobs are so hard. Like every time I watch Ramon's videos or even your videos or other videos, I'm like, man, imagine going to work every day and you have to wear armor and then you decide that like you're just going to be doing this day in and day out, putting yourself in this insane situation. What is that? That's crazy.
So, I do think it is crazy. The gate crew, they're awesome, and I've had a lot of great experience. The only times that I've been in a situation where it's just like that's really hairy is I feel like this has been a situation where the rider is scared or nervous, and the gate crew usually does. And this isn't a message to them, but that's what I've observed. And
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I remember Ramon talking a little bit about like how he wasn't told initially to grab a big hunk of mane when he was in the gate, and I learned the hard way.
yeah.
Otherwise you're just gonna fly off the back of the horse.
Yeah, no, totally. There's a couple. I had that happen one time. Like, I'm still figuring out, like, because I don't go to the gate that much. Like, I had a long period of time where I wasn't in the gate at all. And then this
Sure.
freelance job I just picked up recently, they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to the gate. I'm like, okay. been there since
Guess
like
we're doing it.
October or something, or more recently than that. But I
Oh
came
my
out and was like,
God.
motherfucker, I'm losing my stirrup. But I'd like, that had happened to me before. And so I just was
Yeah.
like, I was able to just, whatever, I fixed it. We're like
Yeah.
breezing and it's fine. But if you're not like, I think it's, maybe that's the message, is just remind people to not panic. But I had one time, one of the gate crew people, because I was like trying to make sure I was in the set, and he's stopped moving. Oh yeah, you're right. He's just sit
I
still.
love
Like,
that.
oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's great. So they were like more
Yeah.
like interactive than you would think.
Yeah,
I love your
especially
videos.
with women. It's different if you're a woman going in there, I feel like,
they're a
than,
bit more sensitive.
yeah, I think so.
I really
Anyway.
enjoy your videos because you're doing this, like, you haven't been doing this for so long that you're like jaded. So like you're showing up at the track and you're like doing whatever, and then you're like, and then all of a sudden they were like, would you like to breeze this one? And you're like, yes. And then you're getting, it's like we're all getting to ride along with you in real time, where you're getting to do these things that like maybe you weren't thinking you were going to do that day, or maybe isn't part of your regular job or whatever. And it's really exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to bring people along, as I think that's like,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't get to experience what I do, so I try to like,
No, and I'm sure your videos like have this wide appeal, right, from like everybody outside of riders and everything like that. But for us that ride these horses in their second careers, it's really incredible for us to understand like what they already know and the language that they speak and what they learn and things like that. So it's really helpful, especially for our listeners to know that. But Courtney, this has been an amazing conversation. We're so excited that you came on. Yeah.
Yeah. If people want to follow your journey, where can they find you?
I'm technically I'm on Facebook, but don't find me there. On Instagram, I have a couple of accounts. I have the Ride Racehorses with Me account that I just started when I started riding at the track and then got a camera. And then that's at Ride Racehorses with Me, all one word. And then I also have at 2_X Racers. That's my BAM's account. And then on TikTok, I'm at Ride Racehorses with Me as well. And actually, I just remembered there's one other thing I wanted to mention.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, if you're a fan of off the track thoroughbreds, I would encourage you to come be a fan of on the track thoroughbreds as well.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think that's reflective of my own kind of experience, where I hadn't gone to the track and was just like, no, whatever, I just want them afterwards. But there's no afterwards if there's not a track.
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest things that like we're really into, is this like idea of this full circle, like from foaling to, you know, their second and third careers. Like, we want everybody to know like how these horses are raised, trained, all of the things that they know, the lifestyles that they live. And yeah, like that's why we're doing this. We want people to understand like how they live and breathe like on the track, because that says so much about what they can do in their second careers. And we just love so much that you took a chance on a horse that had a bow and is now doing all the things that you want. We love an underdog. So yeah, I love that. Learn about the horses on the track, because
awesome.
Yeah. And then last question is, what's one word you would use to describe a thoroughbred?
Only one word, and athlete.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, they're an athlete.
I
I guess describing, we should say athletic, but yeah, they're
athlete. Yeah, we've been having an idea of creating a word cloud, and it's really interesting because like basically nobody says the same thing. It's really cool.
No, I don't think anyone ever has, have they?
Yeah, I don't
Everyone
really think
has
so.
such a different word. It's awesome.
It's really cool.
Oh, interesting. Because as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh man, I probably said the same thing everyone else said.
No.
Yeah, it's awesome. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can find OTTB on tap on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Please give us a like and a follow. We love hearing from listeners. Feel free to reach out to us with potential interview candidates and topic suggestions on OTTBontap.com. Sign up for our newsletter to be the first to find out about upcoming episodes, bonus content, and more. Cheers!
Cheers!